Franklin D. Roosevelt was the 32nd President of the United States. During the struggle and recovery of the Great Depression in World War II, Roosevelt would make decisions that would bring America together to become strong once again. Despite the fact that Roosevelt was in a wheelchair due to contracting polio, there was no fault in the decisions that Roosevelt would make that would result the country poorly. Franklin D. Roosevelt would have not been able to lead the United States through such turmoil if he had not had the previous personal experiences in his life. The previous experiences that he had encountered allowed the decisions that would help the United States to remain strong. Roosevelt was born in 1882 and was an only child. Due to being an only child, most of the education came from his parents and private tutors. Roosevelt would later go to get a bachelor's at Harvard in only 3 years, and later study law at Columbia University without getting a degree. Working at a law firm until being elected to the New York State Senate as a Democrat in 1910 and being reelected in 1912, he would later be appointed as the Assistant Secretary of the Navy by Woodrow Wilson in 1913. In 1932, Franklin D. Roosevelt would be elected President of the United States by defeating Hoover by 7 million votes. Roosevelt would also be the only president in the United States history to have served 4 terms in 12 years. During the time that Franklin Roosevelt was president, the recovery from the Great Depression and World War II were of great importance. Roosevelt had to make many decisions that would impact the future of the United States. Whenever Roosevelt was first elected president, the majority of the United States was still suffering from the Great Depression. By creating the New Deal, Franklin D. Roosevelt would shut down the majority of the banks around the country and would implement many different agencies in order for the country to put their right foot forward. Later in Roosevelt's presidency, World War II would be a time where Roosevelt would have to determine when they would have to enter the war, even though there was a foreign policy that was in place at the time. Due to the decisions that Roosevelt made about the New Deal in World War II, there were many benefits that would result from this experience. By the creation of the New Deal, the country was able to rebuild itself from the bottom up after the Great Depression. There were many new jobs that were created from the different agencies that Franklin D. Roosevelt had implemented. This would include the Works Project Administration, WPA, and the Social Security Administration. Shortly after, Roosevelt would fix the United States from the Great Depression. Roosevelt had to make a choice of entering World War II. By entering World War II, there were times that he would help plan ways to end the world war and put the Nazi reign to rest. If Franklin Roosevelt had not been the 32nd president, there would have been many issues that would have been left unresolved. Due to the high pressure of keeping the United States safe, there would be a toll that would impact the United States, that would impact Franklin D. Roosevelt's life. Roosevelt had passed away due to a cerebral hemorrhage and that had been caused by the many difficulties experienced during his years as president. Both sources were from the biography.com and FDR biography.